Got such a lot to tell you, but I ran out of time. I got otherwise distracted by comments on the vote that's going to, well, not the vote, the resolution that's going to our Parliament today about the Treaty Waitangi and all this sort of stuff, and all the racism that's coming out. I didn't want to get into that argument, but you know, these are this is one of the old ones that I did, old leaflets that I did, and John Key was trying to get rid of this flag, and the reason, like, this is your jade helm, you know, it's really important. If he had succeeded in that, he'd be well on the way to where the United Nations wants us and are still trying to get us. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly, I have found out so much amazing stuff why that's so important, and I'll just try and tell you a little bit. Hopefully it'll be enough just to whet your appetite and come back to me, because it's incredible. Those of you that are Christians, I'm sure you've all heard that the Antichrist comes from the tribe of Dan. Well, I knew that Trump comes from the tribe of Dan, but I also know that the Antichrist that most of the church thinks is the Antichrist isn't the Antichrist. He is the Christ. He is the angel, as per Revelation 9 and 20, which I've shown you so many times. The Apollyon angel is the destroying angel, and he's come to destroy, but only those who do not have the mark of God on them. Please go look it up for yourselves, and then you'll realise just how much those lying scribes have kept us under their control with that particular lie. And you wouldn't be, those of you, even I believe those who have taken the dreaded thing, I don't think you have to worry, and that is why Trump said, no, it's okay, because you don't worry about it, it's okay, because he knows, you know, that if you have the seal of God on you, even death cannot hurt you, you know, that's it, you're immortal, and this is what you have to know, that God lives in us. So, okay, just quickly, I am going to show you, but what I'm going to show you today, which I think is so fantastic, and it has to do with one of the signs that I filmed, which at the time of Trump's election, which was what I believe is the Blue Star Kachina, and I first started filming that in about 2010, and when we could see it then, I didn't know what it was then, it was actually red, and I've even found out why it changes colour, you know, and the Hopi do talk about the red star and the blue star, but all that is a matter of timing. It's about, you know, the position of the star, and it's turning, so as it comes in closer, you know, it takes on the blue shade. So I'm just going to show you that now for those of you who haven't seen it. Okay. It's an incredible thing. I've taken out the sound on this, but if you go and look up some of the versions of it, you will hear not only my husband, you know, grumping away, but you'll hear when it explodes. It's not Zoom that's making it explode. It just explodes itself, and when it does it, there's a sound, the pulsating sound. See it, bang, see it gets bigger. But see, there's also the Illuminati eye in it, but it goes all sorts of gorgeous iridescent colours, you know. So that is what I believe is the sign of the return of the Son of Man, and that aligns up with the Hopi prophecies when the great white brother returns. So, but today I found out such a lot more about the Hopi, and about the Indians, and what tribe the Messiah comes from. Okay, so this is on PolitiFact, so of course you know, because when I was reading up, this is this guy Jar that I've told you about. You can look up Jar. Was it? I think it's just jar.com. I'll get back to you it anyway. So, he then returns to the physical dimension. So this guy is talking about, he's actually talking about Jedi. So lots of different books. And this one here is the Dune, Gibraltar. Okay, Dune, Gibraltar by Jar. So you can look that up. And it relates to Star Wars and the Jedi and all that sort of thing. And I was lucky enough to see the last Star Wars with my step-grandson and, saw the great long battle. It went on and on and on. And in the end, humanity won. And I knew, just from that one version I saw that they were telling the truth, that there was a message in this. And this guy here, he actually goes to quite a lot of effort to show you that Star Wars is indeed based on the return of Christ, okay? So, but it says, Paul, the human inside whom is the spirit being, the sleeper, Christ, was told while on Caledonia, Britain, that change is good for a person. It allows them to grow, and without change, something inside of all of us sleeps, the soul or being, part of the human plus being, and it seldom awakes. Okay, so that you'll know that's of course refers to my other dream, Wake Me Up When September Ends, which is all about Christ's return. The more unfolds now, just can't, amazing. God is just so amazing, and I can see every dream that I had back from specifically 2015 when Trump started on the scene, and but then if I just take the whole 2015-16, ones that I couldn't understand. I started singing, having dreams about Rule, being on a shore with other people and singing Rule Britannia, and of course I had no idea what that meant. And I also, so this is, I think the first one of Trump was was just me getting closer to him, and here it was just on the 5th of the 5th, I think 5th of the 5th, what was that say there? And I was somewhere close to Donald Trump, and we were inching closer and closer, as you do when you are attracted to someone and about to kiss them. So I assure you, I have no ulterior motives for Trump. He's not my type at all. So when I started dreaming about him, I realised God was saying something. But he had to do it really, really gently, because like all the Christians, to get me to believe the things he was going to have to get me to believe, it was going to take a long time. I have been a full-on evangelical Zionist born-again Christian, for 40 years. So to be saying somebody else was Messiah was absolute heresy, as everybody else keeps telling me. Okay, but these ones here were the really important ones, and this is when God starts getting in bringing in the earthquakes and those kind of signs that he starts warning me about. So on this one here of the 7th of the 19th, 2016, I remember hearing the word Shema all through the night, and that one there, and so I had no idea what it was. The next day I looked it up, and I found that it was the prayer that all good Jews pray twice a day. Hear, O Israel, the Lord thy God is one Lord. Love the Lord with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. And Jesus added onto it, saying, and this next one is like it, love your brother as yourself. Why was that significant? Okay, because all this time later, I was going to fully come to understand the relationship of Britain and the church, and why, and that's why, of course, and also the importance of Margaret MacDonald's prophecy, because, of course, she was one of the ones that saw what was going to happen, this vision, and one of the ones that started this this move against Rome, which ended up with America being established for freedom of religion. So recently I have also been believing that Donald Trump is actually going to overthrow the Constitution and become king. And this guy is showing exactly what I'm saying is absolutely true. And as we can see, and I think this is what Donald has been showing, that elections can be stolen. The whole democratic process is absolutely corrupt, null and void. So basically, and this is what God, when God said he was going to establish his kingdom on earth, that we are going to go back to a king. But of course, our royals, are not who they deserved, who they pretend to be, and do not deserve the kingdom. And I want to show you, I can't do it today, but I want to show you the tour that he did. Some of you would have seen it. It's been on quite a lot, but it's very much featured in that movement. And that he went to the Queen, he went to the Saudi king, he went all around the world, he went to the Pope, and all these people surrendered to him. And it was just so obvious what they were doing. They were giving him great honour because he had shown that he was that king that was to come. And that was why the Queen of England walked behind him, because they too realised that he is the rightful heir to the throne. And in other videos of mine, I have linked him to the sleeping king, I won't go down there, but the sleeping king and all these, George and the Dragon, all of these old, prophecies all relate to the same thing. So here, the next night on the 2016, I heard or saw ARRC. So that was an anagram, ARRC. And then I looked that up the next day and found it was Allied Rapid Response Corps. And so this is 2016. So this was when this... the beginning of Ukraine and all that. And so then I've got on the 23rd, the vote on Brexit. So of course, I'm not a political beast, so I had no idea what I was, sort of dreaming about these random things like so that one there, I'm just saying that was the day the vote. Why was that important? And then that day I dreamt a murderer was just about to start his rampage of blood, and that Dennis had brought a small red boat and was deciding whether it was too small. Okay, so Dennis, your husband in your dream, represents God. So the small boat represents salvation, and this rampage of blood, of course, is the Ukrainian war. And this relates to that other sign that I showed you that I filmed of the Revelation 12 red dragon cast out of heaven, which you can find on my channel. But anyway, I will just try and cut to the chase. I don't think there's anything else I want to show. I'd love to show you more on my dreams, but it's just, where does it end? Where does it end? Okay, so I want to. So some of you, if you follow that movement that I showed you, would know that. Okay, breathe. Not only did everybody bow down to him and all that sort of thing and honour him. What was I going to say? Okay. Something else. Many of you will also know that he does not take any money for doing this job. So he's totally laying down his life, and he's doing it for zip. Nothing at all. So what is going to compel somebody to do that, to risk his whole life, his whole family, and not get paid? And they still just hassle him, don't they? You said you wouldn't pay, take the salary and blah 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 blah. Where is it? So he shows all the time where it goes, right? Who he gives it to. So why is that important? I'll read you this. Why is Elizabeth II, who, like her forebears, is from the line of David and head of the Protestant Church, not listening to God? For personal gain, serving mammon materialism, not God, doing the things God forbade her to do in order to become the richest woman on earth, whilst her subjects live in poverty. So this is the, he says, but the king, right, here it says, Deuteronomy 17:14, when thou art come into the land which the ruler of the universe, the I am, thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt not in any wise set him king over thee, whom the I am thy God shall choose. But the king shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that that the king should multiply horses, for as much as I am, this is I am God, has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more to the way to slavery under man-made legislation. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart not turn away. So that was, of course, what Solomon did. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall the king greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book, and out of that which is before the priests and the Levites. So that is him, and this is amazing. I've forgotten about this, but I'll show you it in a minute after I show you this. But Donald has written a Bible, so, and he tried to get, and this is just how much they hate him. They just hate his guts. And it's just not, totally nonsensical. So this one here, this is the New International Version, and this is by Zondervan Press. And the reason that Donald chose this one was because the copyright was available, that anybody could do it. But guess what? When they found out Donald was going to do it, they withdrew it. So he had to end up making this Bible King James Version. And that is just so incredible, because by doing that, he fulfills the scripture in Moses and Leviticus that says that that's what he has to do, that he has to be a king, he has to write out the words of this book, the Bible. And not only that, King James was the last I think king, I could be wrong if he was the last, but I know that the Queen and recent ones haven't sat on Jacob's stone. So there's a pillar called Jacob's pillow, and it is the stone of Scone, and it sits underneath the throne that every king of England, and like then it was Scotland, is crowned on, and they are not what's the word? And King Charles hasn't. So that was, another thing that I could show you, all the dreams that I had before Queenie died, telling, in these dreams I was telling William and King and Charles that they would not be king. And, so that was sort of interesting. And this is saying that the kingdom is not sanctified if that king does not actually sit on the stone, and that stone is not there because the Scots or the Irish actually stole it, and they played, when they had to return it for the Queen's coronation in 1950, they substituted it for a dummy, so it's all invalid. And so King James, I believe, was no, it wouldn't have been the last one. Not too sure, actually. So he was a valid king, and he sat on the real one. So and Donald is doing the same thing. But anyway, I digress, and I just want to show you now it's a little bit, because what I have found out, those of you who have been told and believe that the Antichrist comes from the tribe of Dan, because Dan is the only tribe of Israel, that isn't mentioned in the Revelation, in Revelations and the judgment. But I found out what the real reason is, and it's that Dan is, you know, where we came from, the tribe of Dan, which is Ireland, England, you know, and those of us that came, you know, over here, Denmark, even Spain, that was one of the tribes that came. Went from Canaan, and then it went through Gibraltar to Spain to Cornwall, and then throughout England, Scotland, and Ireland. And these are the true Israelites, and that is why, you know, anywhere that flies that flag, that represents Israel, that it represents Britain, and that is the true Israel and the true owners of Jerusalem. Oh, fascinating stuff, I can tell you. So, see what I can read. It's getting dark in here, it's late. So we've got here, and this is why the political right and left have been condemned by God, makes democracy... Oh, it's got him. The political right and left, having been condemned by God, makes democracy, with all its infighting, trying to score party political points instead of getting together and running the country, unlawful too. Jesus also condemned democracy, Matthew 12:25. And Jesus knew their thoughts and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself, the Dale, is brought to desolation, and every city and or house and the daily divided against itself shall not stand. And sadly, that's where I believe we are in New Zealand, and the dream that I had about Michael Flynn when he came to New Zealand. And you know, I just thanked him. I was so happy, and I thanked him for saving the world, you know, the world. And he just looked at me really sadly, you know, as if not going to happen to you. And with what I'm seeing in New Zealand, sadly, I'm getting to understand now, and that is the same thing that's happening in Ireland and England, and you know, these riots. And it's the reason that Trump, you know, if you look at my videos of Trump's fake assassination, in front of Fusca, there's a woman who, you know, some have said is Caroline. She's wearing blue, but then on her shirt, the shirt says "mean tweet." Well, that's a funny thing to have on a shirt when everybody else has got Trump or MAGA or whatever, and she's got mean tweet. And it was the very next day that all the videos started coming out from England of these people getting arrested in their homes for their tweets, for anything like that. And in New Zealand, so this is my town here, I have the likes of, this is our mayor, and they are Andy Tripe. Can you see it? So this is where we're going. This is the whole thing. Social media echo chamber. They are the echo chamber. From this moment on, every council around New Zealand started echoing exactly the same words. And here he says, I'd urge people to think twice about what they write on social media. Apart from the toll these kind of attacks take on personal level, they have quite alarming effects online, with conflicts spilling over into the real world. So we're made to look out like, you know, like troublesome idiots. This was seen in northern England recently when violent anti-refugee protests kicked off after misinformation spread about the identity of the suspect of a stabbing attack. So you'll know this, little girls in their ballet class were murdered, you know, more than one. About the identity of the suspect for a stabbing attack, emotions run high on social media, and it pays to take a moment, blah, 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 and off he goes. And then from then on, every council is now supporting these Maori wards, causing this racial division, also that they can bring in these refugees from Ukraine and India. You know, India, even Paul Joseph Watson showed that England is now owned by India, and that in New Zealand it was just reported that we had a 400% increase in refugee immigration, right, from India. You know, like what are they, you know, what do they need to political asylum for? And so, you know, so much so they're actually using the excuse of, they're refugees from climate change. They're running from the climate. God, you can't make this stuff up. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is why this is so important. You know, this painting of mine, the Grand Canyon, you know, the home of the Hopi. I hope I got that right. And the relationship to that and the Blue Star Kachina. And so I'll just watch it here. Of course they, you know, so this is the Hopi went to the United Nations with their prophecy to tell them if they didn't change their ways, what was going to happen. So this here says, chiefs from the American Indian Nation gave Donald Trump a plaque of his new Indian name, Walking Eagle, which actually depicts a bird so full of da-da-da it can no longer fly. No, an American Indian group did not jokingly give Donald Trump a disparaging Indian name. They're not like that. They are very spiritual people. They wouldn't do that. Okay, so what they did, the post reads, Donald Trump addressed a major gathering of the American Indian Nation. He spoke for almost an hour. His plans for increasing every Native American's present standard of living, though vague in detail, he spoke about his ideas for helping his red sisters and brothers. Afterwards, the tribes presented him with a plaque inscribed with his new Indian name, Walking Eagle. Okay, which he proudly accepted. So there you have it, and I'll just, if you wouldn't mind me just going to my cupboard, and for those of you in New Zealand, or Wanganui, what I have to put up with rubbish. So we also are getting very much to that state where nobody in our towns can afford to be in business. As Paul Joseph Watson showed, the only businesses they have in England are these Indian restaurants, and strangely, beside them they have these weird little barber shops. So, and I've seen that in town, Wanganui. I showed you one video of, you know, this restaurant, no customers there, but when you sit there long enough, you know something else is going on. They've got jobs on the side. But anyway, so here we have it there. I've shown other. So, okay, so this is just a little refugee boy, I suppose, a little, you know, one of the many ones come into town. So they just make up anything, any excuse to get the headline. Tanelia takes charge. So that's them witness, you know, the Midnight Masons putting out the message that the immigrants are about to take over, and so they make this competition at Marcelin School, little Catholic school. Won a speech writing competition last year to be principal for the day. Okay, so any way that they can get in one of their headlines. So this is what's so important about Donald. He came, of course, from there, and his wife, not his wife, his mother, Mary, would you believe it? Like Mary, Mother Mary, who was born in England, in Britain, before travelling to Israel, the fake Israel, that Mary did to have her child, that Mary did the same thing. So it says here, the true people Israel people have on their coat of arms a lion and a unicorn, which is shown as a white horse with one horn. The lion is the main emblem of the two-tribed house of Israel, and the unicorn is the main emblem of the 10-tribed house of Israel. The coat of arms is therefore the rightful property of the 12 tribes of Israel and Christ their king. The word British is Hebrew, meaning the people of the covenant. However, in this instance referred to in Revelation 6:2, the person riding the white horse and witnessing for God, Isaiah 43:12, is Joseph, who carried a bow. If you refer to Genesis 49:23, you will see from cross-referencing that Joseph, his descendants, was to have a bow, and with God's help, his branches were to run over the wall. Joseph's dad was told by God in Genesis 28, so just going to say Isaiah 11:11 is that should be enough. That his seed was to spread from west, east, north and south in that order, which of course is what Joseph did, proving that God's word is eternally true. Yeah, I wanted this. Okay. I'll just read you this. So I've been seeing 11:11 everywhere. Okay, and this is what it is. In that hand, in that day, the Lord will reach out his hand a second time to reclaim the surviving remnant of his people from Assyria, from Lower Egypt, from Upper Egypt, from Cush, from Elam, from Babylonia, from Hamath, and from the islands of the Mediterranean. Okay. So that is what is happening now, and sadly, what everyone's going through. Apparently in England, I just saw the latest. Katie, was it her that said it? That that everybody in England is just packed up, waiting. The people are just terrified of the things that are happening daily. Same thing, and because of these. That they can't speak, they can't do anything. There's these terrible RAPE gangs. It's just so awful. And so this is God. The fake JEWs have tried to assert this. They did this with the fake, sacrifice. Everything they made HATLE person do to establish that homeland was to usurp these prophecies, and they've been doing it ever since. But just as they predicted, they're saving Israel for last. And what Israel is going through now, the exposure is, showing what has been happening all these years. He says, the horseman had a crown to him, which is the crown of Israel, eventually to be worn by the true king of Israel. The British throne is the throne of David, the Leophal stone of destiny. Joseph his tribe went to America, then east to India, Australasia, and north to Canada, and finally south to Africa, in exactly the same order specified in God's prophecy in Genesis 28:14, conquering and to conquer the British Empire. The British thought they were clever, but the glory is God's alone, because he defeated all their enemies to fulfill his prophecies and his master plan. Do any of you remember the dream I had of Donald, which is the wake? Oh no, it was another one. I had two with the aprons, and the last, and the other one, at the end of the stream, I had his apron on with his pockets, and Donald put his credit card in my apron, and I wasn't too happy about that. And I sort of thought about it, why wouldn't I be happy about his credit card in my pocket? I'd love it, thank you very much. But of course, what it symbolised was that I was his servant. that I wasn't the queen, I was the servant, because he was paying me, and so this is what it says here, that that America is actually the queen. America, specifically the tribe of Gad, and the tribe of Gad is, as I think I showed it to you there with the Indians. How I came up to this political, I'll just go in there to show you. Tribe of Gad are the American Indians, and maybe I can show you here where it shows that it is the tribe of Gad who God gives. Okay, I'll try and go through later, and here it is here. The British have always classed themselves as a nation apart from others and as being special, but God chose them to be his servant, not his servant nation, not a master race. Okay, and look what happened to them. They thought they were the queen, and they lost it all. The year that Jerusalem was liberated by British Israel soldiers from Turkish Gentile domination was 1917. The same year, day in prophetic coded language, 1917, saw the Red Communist Revolution in Russia and the beast system that rose out of the bottomless pit, satanically inspired and controlled, make war against the two witnesses for 70 years. All over the planet, and will soon exactly prophesied overcome and kill the two witnesses, the UK and the USA. Okay, so this is this is why there is going to be a weeping and a gnashing of teeth, and what the people realise exactly what happened in South Africa is what is happening, as you can see, with all the immigrants that have been brought into your country on purpose, and same thing, England, Ireland, and the West. So that's all I'm going to say now, I think, and I hope it wasn't short, was it? But I need a lot more time to really get it all in, and I just lost all my vril today with writing all these letters, because of course when you answer on these mainstream things you can go to all that trouble. So one time I did it and I deleted, which is something I always do. I go copy, cut, and boom, it's gone. But then you can go and repeat the whole lot and be as brilliant as you possibly can, and then they just say it doesn't meet community standards anyway. But hopefully that I gave you something to think about, and you look up this guy, because so this is the new song. Okay, so this is all about all the paintings that I've had, that one up there. It's just all coming together, and I really need 45 hours every day just to take it all in. So I bless you all, and I pray that you really will learn to sing the new song, that you will press in to the relationship with Christ, away from the church, just as it's been showing now, Candace Owen, trying to corral everyone back into Rome, anyway, don't get fooled, just look, here she is with this rabbi. If you've seen what I'm talking about, it's all over the internet. Do you really think that evil man is going to let himself be made such a fool of, unless it wasn't a stand down, unless it wasn't all in the plan? Remember, all roads go to Rome, always have done, always will, but it's over for them, as shown also by this latest church burning. So I thank you all, I love you all, and bless you all in Jesus' name. Bye-bye. Pray for Donald, please.